Anonymous wants us to go back to the office. I work for a big government agency. In stand-up yesterday, our boss told us the VP had been approached by HR saying someone in his organization was abusing their WFH privileges to goof off. The VP organization is about 1 to 200 people in technology roles. This was based on an anonymous letter sent to HR accusing an unidentified person. As a result, our group's WFH status is imperiled. And we're getting extra weird restrictions like turning on camera during Zoom is now mandatory. I'll never know, but would anybody want to bet on whether this is a false flag attack? Send anonymous letter to HR saying the opposite. If the work is getting done at a high standard of quality, I wouldn't give a shit if someone took a 2-hour lunch and a 3 p.m. siesta. These companies don't get it. I agree the letter is likely fake. But even if it's not, the logic just doesn't make sense. Imagine if you had a coffee machine at work and most people drank 2 or 3 cups of coffee throughout the day, while one person was bringing a huge thermos and filling it up to take coffee home. Would they get rid of the coffee maker because of one person abusing it? Or would they just talk to that person and be like, hey, don't do that? Okay, actually they might take away the coffee maker. But it would be a really dumb way to solve the problem. There was no anonymous letter sent to HR. When you WFH, they have a ton of babysitting programs on the computer. Programs mine actually monitors keystrokes, and since everything is on the company servers, they have screen grabs of every single thing I do all day. Next time it's brought up, ask about the monitoring and see how they react to that. It's like a huge secret and they get flustered when you ask about it. It was made up. Sounds like some middle manager who is freaking out because they're not going to need them anymore. Middle management is the worst emo. They don't even do anything but ask stupid questions and bother people. You work for the government. But there is a VP? Unless you are talking about Kamala. Most government jobs don't have VP job titles. If it wasn't made up, I'd hate hearing it, since you shouldn't penalize everyone for the screw-ups of a single or few people. I thought this was about Anonymous, the hacker group, at first. If work is getting done, deadlines met, and clients happy, who honestly gives a fuck what one does during downtime? Start telling people you got an anonymous letter saying one of the managers is embezzling. The letter might not be fake. There's always at least one in a group that will narc out something that is goofing off, but still getting their shit done. Or they think just isn't working as hard as they are. What is bullshit is that one letter is being used to effectively punish everyone. They have more than enough metrics or spyware on work computers to know if people are goofing off. The amount of people who create scenarios in their heads based on absolutely no facts whatsoever is astounding to me. Then I suggest they look at performance metrics and target underperformance. Blanket punishment like that always have unintended consequences. Usually in the form of less work and less workers. Morale is a big deal, and blanket punishments kick morale right in the fucking teeth. A letter from an unidentified person about an unidentified person will be driving their personnel decisions? First-class organization. It's a setup. Sometimes management will make fictional complaints to change rules. No. Send an anonymous letter to HR claiming that you wrote the original and that you were lying to prove how easy it is to manipulate the office. I'd want to know exactly what they meant by goofing off. Every experience I've had with HR, they had precise details. And it was never based on some anonymous letter. If they're going to make something up, I'd press for something better than goofing off. Edit: how are they sure it's not a disgruntled former employee? Bombard HR with anonymous letters about real grievances since it seems to be the way to get things sorted. My cousin's WFH got much stricter after someone was caught also working another remote job and the higher-ups knew each other. But it wasn't a secret after it happened. Commercial real estate is crashing, so they're desperately trying any and all bullshit to get people back in the office. Resist at all costs. I fucking hate when organizations do this. One person is fucking up so the entire company has to suffer. How about you deal with the single person who is the problem? Not bring in extra fucking rules for everyone because one person is a fuck up. Big government agency. My girlfriend works for DHS FEMA and was under a similar threat until the union stepped in and mysteriously returned to office. Discussions stopped. I don't understand why more of FEMA isn't unionized. Have everyone collaborate and send a letter saying it was the VP. This is so their bullshit way of trying to end your WFH status. They're just going about it in a crap manner. My SO's company asked him to go back under the guise of better collaboration with peers. When in reality the city is losing money because there aren't that many people working downtown. As such, employees are being pulled back in. No incentive given either. Call their bluff. Demand that the person who is goofing off be fired or you'll quit. Explain that WFH is so valuable that you'll leave without hesitation to find another WFH job if they do not take immediate action against the person who is endangering the current situation. I read that as the hacking group Anonymous wanted us to go back to the office. Disgruntled spouse who wants the other one out of the house. False flag. HR made up the story as cover for the company to demand all come in. You wouldn't know them, they work in the Canadian office. A anonymous source. Calling out an anonymous employee is worthless. The real question is, why are your bosses giving it any credence? Same goes to the HR person who felt the need to pass it on. I am fortunate to work from home for a reasonable boss in a good organization. The thing about going into the office just showing up is kind of an accomplishment. Occupying my desk, having my computer on, not being asleep, that was almost the whole job. Now that I work from home, my job is actually a little more demanding. In a subtle way, I am very well treated. I appreciate that. And I also don't want to lose it. So, I'm always looking for ways to be more useful. What can I do today to show that I'm worth keeping around? Work doesn't have to be hell. But it sure as hell can be. Typical company bullshit. Punish all for the shitty work of a few bad employees. Fuck these motherfuckers. Collective punishment is so cool they had a convention in Geneva about it. Funny how nobody in this thread could even possibly imagine that one person out of 200 working from home is taking advantage of it, and that maybe it affects someone else's job enough to complain about, when there is literally an "oh yeah, I'm at work" meme all over social networks where people brag about not working while at home. Most likely it is an outright lie. There was no letter. There was no person abusing the WFH privileges. They just want to have an excuse to force people back to the office. If you work for the feds, you should know that Congress is basically forcing the president to bring everyone back to the office at least part-time. It may be a false flag to shift the blame for an unpopular policy. Regardless, folks are going to have to get into the office for part of their week. People goof off in the office too. Nothing wrong with people having a little fun provided things are still being done properly.